Buongiorno a tutti e benvenuti nel mio canale. Io sono Irene e sono una insegnante di lingua italiana. Oggi parleremo delle forme impersonali del verbo, del sì e del tu impersonali. Se sei interessato, guarda questo video. So today we are going to be talking about the impersonal pronouns that Italian uses. But before I start, let me know they appreciate these videos by leaving a like, subscribing, and commenting down below saying hi. But without further ado, let's get into it. So in English, the pronoun that is used as impersonal is the pronoun you. We use that pronoun to be able to talk to a general subject. When I'm not talking directly to you, but it's a generic you. In Italian, you have different ways to do it. Some ways are more informal, and some ways are more formal and more grammatically acceptable. The pronoun tu, or you, is used in a very similar way to the English, but you will only find it in a colloquial, informal context. We do not recommend using it in contexts that are more formal or in writing. So how do you use it? Very simply, you just use the pronoun tu and conjugate the verb accordingly. So if I want to say, you have to brush your teeth every night, but I don't want to refer directly to you personally, I will say, devi lavarti I denti tutte le sere. And that was also a reflexive verb. So the reflexive pronoun was put right after and together with the verb. Another example could be devi stare attento a dove cammini. You have to pay attention where you are walking. But apart from tu, we have a more specific, more formal, more grammatically correct pronoun that we can use in these situations. And that pronoun is si. Si, spelled S-I, sounds very similar to the affirmative word yes, si, but the second one is spelled like this. So the pronoun si is used basically like the English one or the Swedish and Germanic pronoun man. And this pronoun si can be paired with all kinds of verbs, and depending on the kinds of verbs, of course, it'll change behavior slightly. Transitive verbs, modal verbs, intransitive verbs, verbs with which it gives a meaning of passive. It basically transforms an active tense into a passive tense, and not only at the present, but also at different verb tenses. The verb following si usually is conjugated into two different forms, depending on what is following, the third person singular or the third person plural. For example, si sa che mangiare la verdura fa bene. With transitive verbs, for example, in Italia si mangia spesso la pasta. In Italy, people in general eat often pasta. As you can see, that si, excuse me for the clash of words, the pronoun si is there to represent a group or just a generic subject. In this sentence, the verb following si is conjugated at the third person, and it can be conjugated depending on what is following. It can be conjugated at the third person singular form or third person plural. So for example, si mangiano molte mele in autunno. People, one in general, a person, you eat many apples during fall. For intransitive verbs, it is used in a very similar way. The only thing that you will have to remember is to put the si in front of the verb. In Europa si viaggia in treno. In Europe, you travel by train. Same thing with other verb tenses. So, if I had to use a past tense, for example, si mangiava molto più pesce in passato. In the past, people ate a lot more fish. As for the reflexive verbs, this is where it can get a little bit trickier. The pronoun of the third person singular and plural forms happens to be si. But when we have the impersonal si, that pronoun that comes before becomes ci. So for example, I will not say in estate si deve mettere la crema. I will say in estate ci si deve mettere la crema. Okay, homework for today. Write down in the comments 5 sentences using the impersonal pronoun si. Or for that matter, also the impersonal pronoun tu. But I would prefer si, honestly. Write your sentences down in the comments below and I will correct them. This is gonna be it for today. I hope that was useful. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and I will see you in my next one. Ciao ragazzi!